Alright, this video is mainly being made because I've had some of my friends keep asking me about what I think about grip, how they should grip it, how to find what works best for them, because yeah, it is a bit of a rabbit hole. I've lost my mind about 3 times this year just thinking and trying and learning about grip, and I'm kind of over it now. So, I'm not really in any position to be teaching anyone. I don't shoot competitions. I don't really consider myself to be that good of a shooter. So these are really just more so my opinions and what I've learned, mainly by watching Ben Steger, Joel Park, and Alta Kim. So if you already watch those guys, this video's probably useless. So, so Summit, you were saying like, you see a lot of videos, you see people talking about like the pressure differences, like 70-30, 80-20, whatever. I agree that that kind of lingo does not really resonate with most people. Like, I don't think that's a very good way of teaching, like explaining it verbally. I feel like if an instructor uses that, there might be a bit of a red flag. I've also had other people say like, yeah, their dry fire doesn't translate. What they're trying in dry fire seems to like work. Dot's not moving when they shoot it, whatever. Then they go to the range and their shots start flying all over the place. Excuse me, I'm a little sick. So, again, these are just my opinions. So, as far as your grip goes, it does not really matter, I think, as to how you hold the gun. Like, you can do this, you can do like this, you can do like this, you can do like this. Like with your finger placement, you can do this. I know some people do that. You can do like this. Probably not that because there's no trigger guard, but pressure upwards. You do this, you do this, like whatever really, I don't really care. And you'll also notice like if you go out and see how a lot of these high-level shooters actually hold the gun, it's all different. And even if it's the same, then you ask them how do they apply the pressures, it's always different as well. So there's always going to be some differences, what works and what doesn't work for some people, what they like. But like as long as you can build your grip quickly and accurately, repeatedly, consistently, every single time that you grab the gun, then yeah, whatever. What's more important, I think, is the pressures, but also it's like the pressures are a means to an end. The pressures are not what allow the gun to return quickly and accurately back to where your original point of aim was. That's vision. So if your grip is good to go, then you get to vision focus. That's kind of the way I see it. Grip is queen, vision is king. That's kind of the way I understand it. Ben Steger says like grip is like 20%, and then vision is 80%. I suck at vision focus, so I'm not going to be trying to teach anyone about that. But the most important thing is that this unit, these three parts, are one unit that always moves together no matter what. So as the gun's recoiling, there's no slippage, there's no trigger guard separation from the finger of your support hand. There's no slippage at all. The gun is not moving. This is one atomically welded unit that always moves together no matter what. Okay? So the way that I hold the gun, and again, there's people who do it differently. I think V-Man Shooting, he's a GM here on YouTube. Go follow him, by the way. He's incredible. Actually, he was kind of the guy that like had me kind of rethinking my grip and stuff like that, because I used to do like the old tactical like bro vet thing where you like hook on the trigger guard and like cinch at the top and like flare elbows out really hard and all that crap, but whatever. But the way that I do it is pressure on these two fingers, nothing on the middle finger. I believe V-Man said that he just does even kind of light pressure across all 3 fingers because like just doing these 2 fingers is like, it doesn't really, like mentally, it doesn't really work out for him. But for me, it's very important that the middle finger is very, very relaxed to the point where I don't even put any pressure. Because if you start tensing up your middle finger especially, that messes up your trigger finger's ability to do this. So, basically, like, as far as how hard to grip it, as hard as necessary and absolutely no more. Like as little as possible. So if you're used to like really death gripping the gun for any reason, it'll feel like you're barely holding onto the gun. The way Ben Steger explained it is like grip the gun like really, really nice and hard and tight with all 3 fingers, and then just let off your middle finger and relax kind of your whole hand. At least is the way I do it. And like these two fingers will immediately lighten up with some pressure still on them, and then you just rest the middle finger back. And like that is how much pressure I'm doing. Like it's really not a lot of pressure at all. What a little test that you can do is apply whatever pressure you want. I'll have my middle finger off for this example, but apply whatever pressure you want, and then just give the gun some nudges and see if the gun slips around in your grip. Okay. Now, if you do this, you'll probably immediately be doing it wrong, because what you'll probably do is that when you pull on the gun, you'll immediately do this. You'll start tensing up and tightening because the gun is starting to move away from you. So if you see, like I have a really, really loose grip right now, as soon as I pull the gun, I'll like tighten up and squeeze to stop it from getting away from me. Try not to do that. Maintain the pressure. Have that nice high bore grip, whatever, fill up the tang, and then maintain that pressure without changing it. Then just move the gun a little bit and see if the gun is slipping around, and focus mainly not, again, you don't want it to slip, but the real focus for me in that exercise is like I'm not tensing up my finger as the gun is starting to move. Like I'm not freaking out because things are happening to the gun. Okay, so very, very light pressure with these two fingers, absolutely nothing on the middle finger, and yeah, that's pretty much it with the support hand, or with the firing hand. Support hand comes in, I'm trying to fill up this space on the gun. I'm trying to get direct hand contact to the gun. Having your hands, like if the gun is too small, the grip is too small, and your fingers are like covering up all this space, having your support hand on top of your firing hand doesn't really do anything. It's more important that you actually get direct contact onto the gun. The way I do it is like this, as you can see here. And with the fingers, I've seen some people do this, like you can do that. That helps, I think, for getting some upward trigger pressure. But I found that like it's really hard for me to draw and like get that connection in consistently every single time. It also starts to get a little bit annoying in the way of my trigger press or trigger finger. But the important things for me is that this little V made by my firing hand, this little V right here with the trigger guard and the finger, I'm trying to push my finger into this V, and that causes some upward trigger guard pressure. I'm not like directly trying to put upward pressure against the trigger guard or anything like that. Just by pushing my finger into that V slot is causing some upward trigger guard pressure. I probably need more. I have some muzzle isolation right now. It's not firing hand tension, for those of you wondering, but that is what I am doing there. And the rest of my fingers simply, this finger kind of more or less like rests right on top of this finger, maybe a little bit higher. And then the rest of my fingers just go into the grooves here. And that's how I hold the gun. As far as this part of my hand, it's nice if I can get it kind of hooked on the sort of back edge here. That's not really my goal here, but when I do that, I definitely do feel that I have a stronger, tighter connection with the gun. And as you can see here, my thumbs don't actually contact the frame. I'm trying to show this. There we go. My thumbs don't actually contact the frame. I'm not trying to do that intentionally. It's just what happens because I'm trying to push this part of my hand into this part of the gun, essentially, right? And also back here, just trying to fill up this space on the gun, and that's how I hold. As far as how I'm squeezing, I'm not like wrapping my hand around the gun or anything like that. I'm more so trying to push my fingers toward my palm, like this, okay? So I'm trying to do this motion, essentially. It's not that important that I do that perfectly or that accurately, but that's just how I mentally build this grip. And then when I go to shoot and the timer goes off, my brain shuts off. So, you know. But having thumbs on the frame or whatever, that's fine. But again, if you start to tense up as you press the gun or as the gun starts moving, that's going to be another factor that can start causing the gun to be pushed sideways. So as long as everything is welded together, then you're good to go. No trick. If you you should also record yourself shooting and see if the gun is slipping. Like, see if the gun is moving around in your grip like this. See if there's trigger guard separation. Okay, a little bit of lift is probably unavoidable, but it should still maintain in contact with your hand as the gun recoils. But you don't want the gun to be lifting up, off, and separating. completely like that. So, this works well for me because if I'm welded, if I'm good to go, I get to stop thinking about the grip. I don't know how other people feel about it, but like for me, that helps me a lot. It's like now all I need to focus on is vision focus and pressing the trigger correctly. That's it. I no longer think about my grip. This is one welded unit that never changes no matter what. And all I have to think about is look at the target and maybe confirm about the dot and then press the trigger without moving the gun. I moved it really badly though. There we go. That's better. So, as far as the dry fire thing goes, if you can't recreate what you're doing in live fire with dry fire, your dry fire is fundamentally wrong. I've never really struggled with this. Definitely still benefited by watching like Ben Sager and Joel Park talking about this, but I never really struggled with this too much. Like there's dry fire grip where like because you're in dry fire and you're not using live ammo and there's no recoil, you're really limping your grip really bad. Like you're not holding onto the gun as tight as you are supposed to be. You're not pressing the trigger the same way, and then you go to the range and do everything differently, and you're surprised as to why you're getting different results. So like fundamentally, like your dry fire should be the same. So when we go to dry fire, I think grip doesn't matter in the sense that like I can have the worst grip possible with the dumbest pressures applied, and the gun will still like stay perfectly still, and I can still press the trigger without moving the dot. So I'll explain this to you right now. I'll have like this stupid grip. Okay, this is objectively probably not a good grip, right? And then I'll do like, I don't know, something really dumb. Like, oh yeah, there we go. This is my grip. Okay, this is how I'll hold the gun. So I'll press the trigger, and I'll hold the gun, and I'll also like do like some like corkscrew, like none of this makes sense, right? But if you see, like the gun is still staying in the center of the dot, and the amount of shake there is just, you know, human shake, standard amount. And if I press the trigger, I can still press the trigger without moving the gun. Let's do it again, shall we? There we go. But obviously, if I tried to do this at the range, this would probably not work. Maybe for one shot it would, but as the gun starts to get away from me, as the gun starts flying, my grip starts breaking down, I start freaking out, I start applying more tension, that's when to move the gun around, and I'm gonna miss every single target. So when it comes to dry fire, it's like, oh, it works out in dry fire, but when I go to live fire, it's like, yeah, because you can have a really, really terrible grip with really terrible pressures all over the place, and then still get like a really good trigger press without moving the gun. But that doesn't mean any of that's good. So as far as your grip goes, like it should be the same. However you are gripping the gun, however tightly you are doing it, however much you freak out when you go to live fire, if you're death gripping it, like whatever, it should be the same in dry fire. As far as the trigger press goes, okay, this is another thing, like in dry fire, for some reason, people will like do this like nice, smooth, slow trigger press. Oh, that was good. There we go. Sight didn't move. Let's do it again. Oh, that was perfect. Gun didn't move. Gun did not move. Awesome. It's like, yeah, but you're not shooting the gun like that at the range. Like at the range, you're going like this. Like you're going faster than that, right? So the drill or whatever is called like trigger press at speed, trigger acceleration at speed. I don't know. But Ben Stager and Joel Park talk about it a lot, of course. But the idea is like you can do it at different levels. But the point is like you have basically no intention to fire, and then when the shot timer goes off, you will press the trigger all the way through, stacking pressure on top, rolling pressure more and more, quickly and aggressively until the shot breaks. So if you are someone who prep stops on the wall, which whatever, I personally don't like it anymore. If you're gonna start from the wall, when the timer goes off, go to your nice grip. You're gonna start on the wall, and once that timer goes off, immediately, and try without moving the gun, but aggressively press the trigger all the way through without moving the gun. So I'm not like babying it. I'm not like doing this slow, like let the shot surprise you crap. I'm aggressively pressing the trigger the same way that I would do it in live fire. Then you can increase the level. Start from the face of the trigger, right? So there's no pressure on the trigger. my finger is just resting on the trigger and work from there. So the shot timer goes off. The moment it goes off, aggressively and quickly press the trigger all the way through without moving the gun. And obviously you can see your dot. And if the dot wiggles a little bit, obviously if it's before the shot actually breaks, then you are moving the gun around. But also keep in mind, like when I'm just holding the gun, the dot is like, it's like starting to, you know, human shape, right? So if the dot is doing this, the trigger breaks, and then it stays in this human shape, that to me is good enough. And then you can work even further out, like start with your finger off the face of the trigger and try doing that. And this is way harder. Move the gun down a little bit there. A little bit better. There we go. So trigger acceleration at speed. Try to press the trigger aggressively all the way through until the shot breaks quickly after the shot timer beep, and see how much your dot is actually moving around. So try that for your dry fire. So again, the way that you dry fire should be the exact same way that you fire the gun in live ammo. It's a weird way to word it. However you're shooting in live ammo is how you should be shooting it in dry fire. Again, I never really think that I had this problem. I was always like really aggressive on the trigger and always like really tight on the gun. My dry fire doesn't last any more than like 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. If I'm practicing draws from this level 3 alien gear, my dry fire is like 5 minutes, like maybe 3, because I'm like really trying to like push my speed as fast as possible, and that will just absolutely kill my hands. But like, imagine that you went like really hard doing the same sort of drills for like 15 minutes straight at the range, dumping hundreds of rounds in 15 minutes. Like, your hands would be pretty buttered by then. And so it's like, yeah, if your dry fire is correct, like a good sign is like, yeah, after 15 minutes you're just smoked, you're done, like that's it. So take that for a try. Grab the gun nice and tight. First of all, I would say evaluate your current grip and make sure that it's consistent and everything, and then record yourself shooting it. And if everything looks good, make sure that when you go to dry fire, you are gripping the same way, the same tightness, and then pressing the trigger nice and aggressively without moving the gun in recoil in dry fire. Should be the same way every single time. So try that. Yeah. I'm probably going to go to the range tomorrow and change my opinions and all this, but we'll see. I'll lose my mind a 4th time. It'll be fun. Okay, bye. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about like wrists and stuff like that. So in a perfect world, we would be able to lock our wrists so that they don't move in this direction. And the only thing that's actually breaking in recoil would be our elbows. That would be like in a perfect world where only, you know, our wrists don't break at all. If you slow down some high-level shooters, you'll see that, like, yeah, their wrists are pretty rock solid. Their wrists will break a little bit in recoil, and then their elbows will take over. But realistically, their wrists are locked in position. I think in your comments, like wrist canted super far forward. Again, I used to do that with the grip, especially this like super aggressive like wrist lockout grip thing, and I would also like wrist lockout downward on the whole structure as well. Like so. Like, I can't move my wrist down any more than that. That shit sucks. Like, you might feel like you're controlling recoil a little bit better. It might feel like the dot's returning better, but it's not going to return in the consistent same spot every single time. That's also part of vision focus. Like, what drives the gun to come back perfectly every single time? That's vision, not necessarily grip. But by having my wrist locked downward, the dot is way more bouncy. It's like I will overdrive the dot almost every single time. Or it'll land, like if this is my original point, dot flies up, it'll land here, or it'll dip down below, it'll scramble around. Like, locking out downward is not really, I don't think that's really helpful for most people. But instead, having a more neutral, relaxed position with an elbow that is not completely straight, not completely locked out, but as straight as possible without being completely locked out. And having a tight, using your forearms, locking your wrist in order to resist this motion, because the gun wants to do this. So if you resist that by locking out your, by locking your wrist and using your forearms to lock your wrist, that is going to help, question mark. Right now, I have a lot of really bad limb wristing going on, so this is something that I still need to explore more. I have a lot of muzzle oscillation as well. But yeah, as far as like the whole wrist lockout down or whatever, like no, just a strong, rigid wrist that is going to resist the motion of the gun wanting to do this to your wrists. So, but again, it's not really something that you should be like actively trying to fight against the recoil. That's not really what you should be doing. Gun is one structure. Ideally, only our elbows are breaking. Gun recoils, I'm looking at the target, and me looking at the target is what causes the gun to come back to that spot. Ben Sager's a lot of funny metaphors about this. It's like, imagine that you have like a window on a computer screen, and you're trying to click the X, and you're trying to close out of whatever stuff it is you're supposed to be watching, or that you're not supposed to be watching, and then your boss walks in, whatever. You look at the X, and you just move the mouse up to the X, and you click it. You don't think about like the weight of the mouse, or how much you're going to move it on your mouse pad, or how much muscle you're taking to move. You're not thinking about any of that. You just look at the X, and the mouse just moves up to it, and you click it. That's it. So it's the same thing. And same thing with target range. It's just like, you know, everyone knows, like, eyes lead, guns follow. Everyone knows that. Eyes lead, guns follow. It's the same thing. If I'm actually target focused properly, the gun recoils however much, but I have a good structure. The gun isn't slipping, all that crap. Gun recoils, how much energy does it take to give the gun, or how much energy does it take to move the gun back onto target to do this, essentially. That's all you're doing. Not much, right? So your vision is what drives the gun back. So grip, for me, again, I think of it as a means to an end. Grip is 20%, vision is 80%. Grip is queen, vision is king. That's the way I think about it. Like, if nothing is moving, it's a good grip, I can build it quickly, it's consistent, repeatable every single time, then okay, now I'm gonna go spend the rest of my life just vision focused practicing. So yeah, that's what I would say about like wrist lockout and like return and all that crap. So